friends, and welcome to the Happy Hour Jamie Ivey podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, and I'm so excited that you're here with us today. Every week, I invite a girlfriend to join me on the show, and we chat about the big things in life, the little things in life, and everything in between. Hey guys, I want to thank one of our sponsors today, and that is Spice Islands. Whether you're looking for flavor adventure or simply better tasting meals, fill your pantry with Spice Islands. Because by sun-drying many of their spices and de-stemming their chili peppers by hand, Spice Islands uses a craft approach to capture the volatile oil, which gives flavor to every spice. And whether it be Saigon cinnamon, dill weed, bay leaves, garlic powder, cumin, or turmeric, they maintain a strict standard for each item to ensure consistency, quality, and flavor. Visit spiceislands.com/happyhour for more spice facts and delicious recipes. And pick up Spice Island spices in the premium spice section of your local retailers. Okay, friends, you are listening to episode number 159. And today my guest is Amanda Jones. You might remember, if you've been around the Happy Hour for a long time, Amanda was a guest back, it seems forever ago now, on episode number 66. In fact, she only had 2 kids at the time. Well, she was pregnant with her 3rd one. And now she's back again. Her mom, Beth Moore, has also been a guest on number 108. So if you're new to the show, go back and catch up on those episodes as well. You're going to love them both. Guys, here in Texas, we're still talking about Hurricane Harvey. And so I wanted to bring Amanda on today to talk about what it's been like since the storm, how her church, which is Bayou City Fellowship, that her husband is a pastor of, how her church was prepared in the craziest ways that only God can do and prepare for, and how you and I can still help. We also touch on depression and anxiety and how we both believe that we need to treat those of us that are currently or have in the past needed medical help to deal with depression or anxiety, how we need to treat those situations. You're gonna love our conversation, and it was so fun to catch up with Amanda, and now she's on a trip with her mama and her sister, which sounds like a dream. You guys, I'm a fan of Instagram. If you want to share anything about the show, come find me over there. It's at Jamie Ivey. Every Wednesday, I put up a picture of the guest, so you can leave a comment there on what you loved about this show. All right, guys, I want to also remind you about something super fun around here, which is I'm launching a book in January. Yes, I know that is forever away. Let me tell you, I feel like I started working on this book when I was 9, but right now we are filling up a launch team. And a launch team is just people who are going to come alongside me and say, hey, we believe in the book and we want to help you launch it to the world. And I would seriously love to have you. It's super easy to join. Head on over to ifyouonlyknew.net and all the instructions are there. That closes on Friday, so give it just a few more days. Guys, thanks a bunch. We're going to have so much fun on the launch team, I promise. All right, friends, here is my conversation with Amanda Jones. Hey, Amanda, welcome to the Happy Hour.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's your 2nd time on the Happy Hour.
Yeah.
You were on episode number 1. No, not 1. There's no 1 in front of your thing. You were episode number 66.
That's right. I thought it was 66.
And today you were episode number 159. So almost 100 episodes later.
You've been working really hard.
I've been working really hard. And you've had a lot happen in 100 episodes as well. I mean, that's basically, oh my gosh, that's like 100 weeks.
I think it was, I don't remember the exact date, but I feel like it was exactly 2 years ago.
You were pregnant. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I was getting ready to have a baby.
Yes.
And she was born October 19th of 2015. And then I think it aired around Christmas time.
Something like that. And I remember, this is what I remember the most, not the most about the whole interview, but one thing I remember is that you wouldn't tell us her name.
Oh, that's right.
Because y'all, so tell us now. I mean, you could go back and read it, but.
Yeah. Her name is Willa Rose Jones.
She's so cute.
She's pretty cute. She's a lot of fun. And she's about to be 2, so she's just as naughty as she is cute.
Well, and you started all over again. I mean, because how old is your next one? 3rd, 4th grade?
Annabeth is, in 3rd grade this year. And Jackson, my oldest, started 6th grade just on Monday. So it's kind of funny.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to talk about Willa Rose, and because if you go back and listen to when you were on earlier, which I hope people do, we talk a lot about you guys walking through domestic adoption and the loss that you guys endured through that process. And then that kind of led you to, hey, let's try and have another baby. And I just saw a picture you posted up the other day about how that was like this journey that y'all went through and how thankful you are that God led you to this and your baby girl that he knew you needed all along. Okay, so you guys just started school. I think I told you before, we've been in school like a month, and I also have 2 6th grade boys. How is 6th grade going for Jackson?
He's giving it an 8 out of 10 rating so far. So that's pretty high, I think, for
I
a
think
boy.
that's pretty high. I wonder where the 2 off are. What is it for him? Like, why is it not a 10?
I think just his personality, like he's not going to give me the satisfaction of a 10 out of 10 unless we're at like an amusement park or an arcade.
Right. I mean, it is school. Let's just like keep it real.
Yeah. And they haven't started homework yet. So that number might fall a little bit like next week.
Yeah. When I was telling my boys the other night, when I look back on my school years, I don't know what year it is for you, but 6th grade was my hardest year ever. We moved in 6th grade. So I started a brand new school, and both my kids have done, all of my kids have done that now. And it was just the hardest time for me because I went from a small town where, everybody, you grew up, you've been to school with the same people all along. And then I moved to, a suburb of Houston. And I felt like as many people were at my school that were in my old little town, and it was hard. And so when my kids were starting middle school, I was a little apprehensive for them, but so far everyone at the Ivey house is doing well. I'm
really glad. And since you went through that, like, how to support them and what questions to ask and things.
This is random. What was your hardest year of school?
I have pretty fond memories of middle school because I played sports and I just enjoyed those team experiences so much. But my senior year of high school, I was just living in a way that was opposite of what I had been taught my whole life. So that was my hardest year. It's just my worst year that I wish I could go back and redo.
You feel like that was like, yeah. But I'm sure you were having fun in the midst of it.
Know.
Or what you thought.
Well, I think
what you thought was fun.
Sometimes, I don't know. I think I was pretty miserable, honestly.
That's good. That's what Jesus does for us.
Yeah.
I'm glad I know it's miserable. Good. We want to be miserable. We always say sin is fun. Why wouldn't we do it? But at the end of the day, when the Holy Spirit's in you, it's not really going to be fun. It's going to be miserable. Right. Okay. Back to school. Now, I know you were on episode 66 and I love and adore you, and your mom's been on, and I just have a lot of respect for you and your husband and all you guys are doing. But what I really, really, really want to talk to you about a lot today is what everyone in the world has watched. Well, I don't know everyone in the world, probably not everyone in the world, everyone in the United States, definitely everyone in Texas has been watching, correct me if I'm wrong, the greatest natural disaster to hit American soil. Am I right about that?
That's what they were saying.
That's what they said. So Hurricane Harvey came through. What day was it?
It made landfall on maybe a Friday.
Which would have been like...
And it came to Houston, like we started getting the effects of it for real on a Saturday.
That would have been the 26th of August. Yes, because I was out of town trying to get home.
Yes, which good luck with that to everyone who was gone at that time. My mom was in Massachusetts and got stuck. Well, we knew that she wouldn't be able to get home easily, so she packed for extra days. And she finally got home by going through Nashville and then Dallas. And then a couple of days in, I saw on Facebook that a team of pastors from the Village Church, they were coming down with their big trucks and their boats. And I just got really bold and I was like, hey, can my mom hitch a ride with you?
My mom needs to come home.
My mom needs to get home. And it was not going to be easy for her to get home. But I just thought, and who else would she be safer with than a bunch of pastors with big trucks and boats? She was able to get home a few days later. But I saw
her trying to get home. Yeah. So Hurricane Harvey comes in. Everyone, I feel like, was embracing for the worst. We're here in Austin, and so our damage was nothing here. There's places closer to Houston where there was significant damage as well. And I was flying home, and I made it home safely and everything. And then everything hit. And then kind of the aftermath was, it was awful. And I'm going to let you tell us kind of how it went down, because it kind of had these weird stages. So tell us what it looked like for you guys, like on that Saturday and then that Sunday.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, everyone in Houston lost track of time. And the only reason I know what day it is because school finally started. So I might get the timeline messed up a little bit. But, they started telling us about the storm. I think the Tuesday before it hit, we knew that it was coming. And so that day, like, everyone went to the store and bought all the bread and all the water. That's when it started to get a little strange in Houston. But then it took a long time for it to come. And it came ashore around Port Aransas and Rockport. And then we were in Houston on the northeast side of the storm, which is what they call the dirty side.
The storm, or that's what they call your part of town?
No, that's what they call the northeast part of a storm.
I was like, I've never heard that term before. Okay, got it.
So that's where you can expect a lot of wind and rain and like tornadoes and all that nasty stuff. So Curtis was actually running around town with my kids, not Willa. Willa and I were home on Saturday, but he was running around with them. They tried to go to a movie, but the theater was closed. And so he took them to this arcade. And, you know, my husband is from Missouri and he's grown up with tornadoes his whole life. So he's just not a scared person ever. So he didn't, you know, he was like, oh, this is nothing's happening. Well, it hadn't started yet here. But then right after they left, one of the first rain bands hit and it got crazy. So my part of town had like 4 or 5 tornadoes that afternoon and evening, and it was so scary. So Willa and I were hiding in our closet under the stairs for like at least an hour, and I had my computer open, and she was watching Elmo videos on YouTube, and I'm texting Curtis like, stay where you are. Don't try to come home because there's a tornado here. And a few minutes later, okay, now there's a tornado here, and it was wild. It really was.
And the kids are they just having the time of their life at the arcade? I mean, yeah. Yeah,
they didn't know what was going on.
That's funny. That's funny.
So when they finally did get home, and I was very, very frazzled when they walked in the door, but I was very glad that, you know, all 3 of them were coming in and were safe. After that, it was just the craziest, heaviest rain I've ever seen in my life. And just huge gusts of wind, and like everyone's phone was blowing up with tornado warnings constantly. So what it does is it spawns little tornadoes that pop up really fast. And that just, you know, they're probably not the kind that would totally destroy a home, but they do plenty of damage. And then another rain band came and like merged with that first one. And then the rain just sat over Houston for like days. So all of our bayous, which Houston is called the Bayou City, and all of our bayous were just inundated. Our creeks went crazy, and there was just water everywhere all over the city. And it was just flooding that has never been seen before here. And we actually got 50 inches of rain, which is just
crazy,
astronomical. Yeah.
I think I heard somewhere. Go ahead. You're probably going to say the same thing I was going to say.
Did you hear that it was 1 trillion gallons of water?
No, I didn't, but that's crazy. I heard that it was that the Hurricane Harvey dropped more rain than Ike and then 2 others, Katrina and then one other that I can't remember combined.
Wow.
Crazy. So the hurricane comes in through Port Arthur and those Port Aransas down there, and it kind of moves its way up the coast to you guys and then just sits.
Yes.
And so rain. And so did Houston sustain damage like down a little bit more south on the Gulf, like around Port Aransas and Port Arthur, how they were kind of demolished with the winds?
I think Rockport and Port Aransas got a tremendous amount of damage from the winds, which, you know, Houston really we didn't have the crazy wind damage. I think we had worse wind damage when we had Hurricane Ike.
But this had the most rain. Okay, so the rain is just pouring and pouring and pouring. And everyone that I know in Houston, finally, they said, oh my gosh, we saw the sun. I mean, it was like the biggest deal in the world, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But then what I didn't know was going to happen, and what you might know if you saw the news, but then they had to release pressure in the levees, which I still don't 100% understand that. But is that where there was even more flooding on top of flooding that happened?
Yes. So after the rain was pretty much gone, they had to, you know, maybe it was still raining a little bit. Like I can't even remember now, but we have these huge dams called the Addicks Dam and the Barker Dam, and they were built like decades ago. They have these big reservoirs and they hold lots of water, but they have to release the water into the Buffalo Bayou. And if they didn't release it at this rate, then the dams were in danger of, you know, failing. And then that would have been catastrophic. So they knew that this was going to happen, but they had to let the water out at a certain rate. And they knew that certain neighborhoods were just going to be flooded. So they had to evacuate people. But it was heartbreaking because like the flooding should have been over almost by this point. And so these homes had been dry so far. And then the water came in, or maybe some of them had been dry so far. But like the water's still there. So these people still have water in their homes and they haven't even been able to clean up yet.
So you're telling me 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. So maybe by the time this airs, it's been maybe 3.5, 4 weeks since maybe it's been 3 weeks since they kind of did that. No, 1, 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They still have water in their homes.
Yes. I mean, and I guess just some of them are going to have to be bulldozed because what does that do to a home after that much
time?
Recover
from that.
I can't even imagine it.
So hurricane, enough damage as it is. And then they have to release this or else it could be catastrophic like we saw in the news. And so then I guess these people had a better warning as you got to get out. Are some of these people where this happened, is this close to you guys?
It is so we're in the west. My family lives in the northwest part of town. And so this happened in like the western part of town. So we're kind of north of it, but I would consider it part of it, at least in my community, sort of.
Golly, I mean, it is just crazy to hear stories and everyone watched on the news. And, and then we just had another hurricane come through Florida. And the hardest part, I feel like, and I'm glad that you're coming on to talk about this. The hardest part, and this is how life works, is that the next thing happens. The next catastrophe, the next news thing, the next media, the next President Trump, whatever, something happens. And then we just kind of move on. And so I know that it's hard for the people in Houston because they're like, we can't move on, and you probably had situations like this. I relate it to, I remember when we were adopting our kids and we would go to Haiti and then we would come home and I'd be like, wait, everyone is still doing life? Wait, my kids are in a third world country, and I just couldn't understand how people moved on because it was my story. And so I feel like, I wonder if that's how it feels in Houston, of just like, we're still in the midst of it, and it will be easy for us who aren't there to forget.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my husband, Aaron, was just there last weekend and he said it's like worse than you can imagine.
Oh man. Well, I'm so thankful that he came down to just see what was going on. And I'm thankful for him and other pastors that you guys have there at Austin Stone, just for your care and concern for our city and our neighborhoods.
Well, it's been really special to partner with you guys. Now I want to hear from you guys as a ministry standpoint, because I want you to tell me this, because Aaron has told me a little bit and I want to hear it from you guys. So you guys bought a building, like what do you have? Like a storage thing? What am I talking about?
Well, we have 2 campuses at Bayou City Fellowship. So one is in an area of town called Spring Branch, and the other one is in Cypress. And they actually both have warehouses, believe it or not. So I don't know if Aaron got to see both campuses, but it's just so crazy and just so amazing of the Lord that he provided us these warehouses, because we were able to right away start collecting the items that we needed for cleanup and demo.
I mean, that I just got chills because that is so crazy. I mean, what were y'all using these warehouses for?
One of them at Cypress, we have like a thing called the Moses Closet, and we store things in there for foster families. Like whenever they get a placement, they can come and get stuff that's been donated, and then just other random stuff. I've actually never even walked into that one. And then in Spring Branch, we had just bought this warehouse to convert into our sanctuary. So we had one, like a prayer and worship service in there, and we had it in the summer and it was so hot. We were all sweating, but we just praised God and we had the best night just praying and worshiping. And people got Sharpie markers and they wrote all over the walls, and it's like, metal walls at this point. So we just had no idea that God was going to use that warehouse before we ever started doing anything to it. So the pictures that were taken of our warehouse with all the supplies in it, you can see everyone's writing on the walls where it says Jesus really big all over the place.
Jeez.
So it's really, really cool.
I don't know why that made me cry, Amanda. I'm like teared up because it's just God's providence for giving you guys these warehouses for a need that you didn't know that you would need. And, and I know that they've been used for good, and now they were used for amazing good. And so your church kind of stepped into action really quickly. What did that look like for you guys to put things in action there? I mean, I'm sure that you're looking around and you're like, the need is so great. So it can feel kind of overwhelming, I would imagine. What did you guys decide pretty quickly as here's what we're going to do at Bayou City Fellowship?
Well, I will say that I just want to start off saying that God had ordained for us to help during this hurricane, and he provided for all of our staff. None of our homes were damaged at all, and neither campus was damaged. And to me, that's just miraculous. And it just says to me that God had a purpose for us to help with relief. So because of that, our team was able to start while the hurricane was still going. They made changes to the website. They put a form up there for people who were in need, that needed help. So all of our Spring Branch staff, once the waters, once they could get to the church, to the warehouse, they set up shop in there for a week. There's no air conditioning, and it's still blazing hot here. And they were just at a table with a big fan and working on social media and email, just trying to coordinate. People needed to be taken out of their homes and boats. So families that had boats, a bunch of the guys got together and they went and rescued people from their homes. And then as soon as houses were able to be entered into, they started doing the demo and cleanup, which is a really big job and it's very physical. Mm-hmm. So they were able to start that right away. And it was truly the grace of God that we were able to be positioned already. But I'll also say my husband has, for our church just turned 6 years old on September 11th. And for 6 years, he's been casting this vision that our church is about Jesus and that we want Jesus for the people of the city. And we're here to, serve our city. And so that vision had been so beaten into us that our people were ready by God's grace. Like they were ready to go. So it was just incredible. In the first 6 days, we had between 1,500 and 2,000 volunteers.
From your church bodies. Wow.
From our church body and our friends and neighbors. Some guys that I went to high school with that I never see, they drove in from Austin or just different parts of town to help with our efforts. So it was extremely moving to see how we were able to be a part of it. And it felt like a supernatural